It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Welcome to Rubbin Minds. My name is Hero Daniels, and I will be guest hosting today. Ebuka Obi Uchendu sends his greetings. It's May 1st, so a happy Workers' Day to you. You've done incredibly well. We're so happy, and we're so proud of you, so well done. Something interesting happens today while I was driving down to the studio. You know, I met a group of well-behaved Nigerians, a.k.a. Agbero, you know, and one of them just stopped me and started hailing me in their usual fashion. It was like, Baba me, happy Worker Day to you, oh yeah, anything for the boys. And I gave him 1,000 naira. And his reaction was like, Baba is supposed to pass this one now. See your face show your shoe shine. See your tie like Barack Obama, Now you they work for office, now we they work for street. And then it dawned on me that it's Workers' Day 2022. Where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? And even the people that are currently working, how happy are they? Well, ladies and gentlemen, to discuss this is Teju Abisoye, the CEO Executive Secretary, Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Welcome. And I also have Olojede Bolahon. He's a public affairs analyst. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Well, good to be here.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So it's good to have you. So I'm going to start with you, Teju. Currently, we are at our highest rate of unemployment. According to the Nigerian Trading Economics, about 33.3 million Nigerians are unemployed, and a lot of people are underemployed. So the big question now is, do we have anything to celebrate on May 1st?
So first, I would say that we still have to celebrate and recognize May 1st. First, to recognize our wins, and of course to continue the conversations around the challenges. So May Day will always bring it back to mind that there's still a lot of advocacy to happen. There's still a lot of things we want to happen within the working ecosystem. And it's always an opportunity to use May 1 to do that. So we have to always celebrate or commemorate May 1 as Workers' Day. I think it's also a time to celebrate all our contributions individually. And I love the story you said about the Agbero. He recognizes his contribution to the streets. So it's an opportunity to celebrate something. We're all building something together, and we're contributing to that.
Okay, so Mr. Olojede, it's heartbreaking that a lot of people are actually just, they're not so happy. So how do you think we can make the working environments a better place for workers to feel like they're being appreciated and it's financially viable for them? Because a lot of people are underemployed.
Yeah, quite unfortunate that is the situation we have found ourselves. The problem had been that we are producing more people, we're sending more people into the labor market than the number of jobs that we're able to create. So every year that gap will drop an additional number of people into the labor market. Incidentally, Nigeria happened to be a country with a lot of opportunities. The problem has been a disconnect. How do we translate these opportunities and make it count for these people that want the job? What do we also need to do in terms of the environment? Because it is when businesses do well that they employ people. So what are the efforts we're making, and how fast are we making them to ensure that the business environment is right for the people that we employ, those people that we're talking about? So a lot of activities going on out there, but it seems as if there is more activities and less, how do you call it, motion and movement, situation. If you say, ease of doing business in Nigeria, for example, you see we've moved up. So the office in the presidency that was responsible for that could say, look, we made it easier for people to incorporate businesses. A state like Lagos State could talk about Mr. Abisoye's suit and what it is able to do. But there is a huge room for more, and it is in that space of more that we'll begin to make major differences that could hit the street and everybody could be happy.
So taking a cue from what you just said, because of the nature of doing business, and that's why perhaps some people are underemployed because it's not even easy to run a business. I'm going to throw this question to you, Teju. The minimum wage is 30,000 naira, but I can tell you categorically clear that I know of some supermarkets and some other places that they pay their workers from 15,000 naira to 25,000 naira. What is the Lagos state government doing to sort of implement this national minimum wage? Because a lot of workers still earn less than 30,000 naira.
Okay, thank you. I think what I would like to say first is, as a government, we are adhering to the law. But I think there's still a gap with enforcement. Because again, like you rightly said, national wage is done by the federal government. There has to be a backing to enforce it as well at all state levels. And I always say that apart from looking at it from even just the companies that employ, even individuals have to ask themselves the truth about how much they pay their domestic workers. But there's a lot that needs to be done with enforcement of the minimum wage requirement across board. In addition to what Mr. Olajide had just said about the jobs, not graduating more people than jobs we're creating, I think there's also a mismatch between who is being graduated and the jobs that are actually available. We still need to create a lot more jobs. Definitely, I agree 100%. But today, there's still a lot of jobs that people can't fill. We have issues with having the wrong type of graduates for the jobs that are available in the market. Okay, so can you give us some examples of those jobs that people cannot fill? So I'll give you an example with the healthcare sector and the lawyers that we're graduating. Every year we put excess supply of lawyers on the market, but we don't have enough doctors. We need to increase the number of people in the medical field as quickly as we can as a nation. And we've not started thinking strategically how to block that gap. So why not find the kind of programs that enables more people come out in the medical field? And that's just to say a few. Let's not start talking about the technology industry. I understand, but also, you know, there's a mass migration. In fact, the number of people, the number of doctors that actually leave their jobs in Nigeria to go to the UK or to the US is enormous. So, and that's because of doctors don't want to be underpaid. You know, going back to, you know, you made mention of enforcement. Yes, enforcement, I understand. I just want to ask you this question specifically, the lady or the guy out there working in the supermarket or anywhere that is being paid 15,000 naira, and considering the economic condition of the country, it's barely enough to keep afloat. It might not even take care of their transportation and feeding for the months. Do you think they're truly happy today being like the 1st of May? So, you know, I would say something that every individual must recognize something that, and this is what brings me back to the conversation around why do you work? What do you work for? Is it just to make money, or you're working to contribute? And when you see it from the angle of, I'm not advocating for anybody to not be paid what will improve their livelihoods, because that's one of the reasons why you work. It's actually your livelihood. But I've had a conversation here within this premises today, where we're talking about somebody taking every opportunity they have to build something for themselves. So do you see it as an opportunity to first maybe have something on your resume? Okay. Are you building and looking at the next step for you? That yes, this is low paying, but I get an opportunity to understand retail market. So it's very individualistic in terms of how do you see yourself? What do you see yourself doing here at this time? Is there anything you can add to it that may not take out of this your 8 to 5 or your shift, and something else you can add that may be digital, that you could add to that payment, that may be part-time? So there are different ways to look at it, and I found out that a lot of it is also, there's a lot of conversation that has to happen around individual attitudes about work and opportunities and what we see. Okay, we're going to get back to, you know, what the Lagos State government is doing to ensure that, you know, workers like that are sensitized, you know, going by what you just said. But Olajide, Teju said that a lot of
doctors, we don't have enough doctors, and we have more lawyers than doctors. And I said that that's because the doctors do not want to work for, for peanuts, and they're moving. In fact, there was a viral story on Twitter. Somebody took the 1.5 million naira donated by his school alumni to renovate their school and traveled abroad. You know, everybody wants to leave. Why is that? Why are we having such a brain drain?
Okay, what we are seeing is a symptom of a deeper disease. And we're not going to solve it at the level of looking at just the doctors that are leaving. We must solve it at the level of how do we make sure that the opportunities in this environment, vis-a-vis what the schools are producing, gels. You're not supposed to be rolling out graduates of religious studies if it is fintech that the economy demands. For a long time in this country, we were doing millions of barrels of crude, and staffs were mostly foreign, because even mud loggers at some point in our oil industry were foreigners. Of course, over time, that has evolved, and we now have but what I'm trying to get at is that we must be deliberate about it. It's not an accidental thing. I tried to look for a scholarship when I was in the US as a business student. I couldn't get. You know who were getting the scholarships? All the techie guys. You're doing computer science, you're doing this, all of them were getting. There's a deliberate reason for that. If you're migrating from China or from Asia to the US, the kind of privileges you get by virtue of what you are bringing to the table is different from some other guys. So, as a country, we must be deliberate about ensuring that we're able to feel. I sit across the table, I interview people all of the time, either I'm hiring them or hiring for someone. And when you see even quality again, you'll be amazed. I've seen fantastic guys from our Nigerian school. I've also seen people that myself and my CEO were literally, she was annoyed, I was laughing. Wow. That this person came all the way from, because the guy traveled and sitting across there, and he couldn't even, I don't know, I don't want to go into those details. Yes. We must be able to deal with those matters and be deliberate about them. However, there is something structurally wrong with our priorities, and we must find a way to fix that. That is what will make you not pay attention to the fact that your doctors are leaving, whereas you're talking of what was the other example you gave. We must be able to prioritize that, because if you allow your knowledge people to all leave, at the same time your structure that is producing them is not paying attention to that, the future is very big.
Very. Okay, so speaking about employability, Teju, what can we do to fix it? Because that's one solid point that both of you have made. How can we fix employability in this country? Okay,
so let me first start with one of, in 2021, one of the things Lagos State government started working on is something called the Labor Market Information System. And we're doing this in partnership with the GIZ. And the idea is actually to fix that, to make sure that we create that synergy between the employable people, the demand side, the schools, so that if the demand in the market can feed directly to the training institutions about the skills that are required. And the same way, through a career counseling structure, people who are not yet employed or going into schools can get the right information to guide the kind of training they go for, so that by the time they're coming, they're ready for the market and not necessarily just doing any course to get through university. So there's a lot to be done with employability. I think one of the other things that we recognized again is the reason that there's a requirement for student loans, especially with tech courses. We're not looking at long-term courses. We're not looking at things that take years. Yeah. We're saying if you need a student loan to get yourself from point A to B in digital age now, or with technology skills, LSCTF, the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, actually provides that, because some people cannot afford to pay for that upfront. Yeah. But aside that, we're also doing a lot in the blue collar, with blue collar employability skills. Okay. We're doing a lot of job readiness training for young people, where they literally can train and in 3 months continue with an internship for another 3 months, and they can continue their work. They can continue in the work environment, because the idea is the 3 months internship provides some level of experience.
Okay.
Today, we've done over 12,000 in that space.
Amazing. So you've spoken about the very professional, fancy courses, the doctors, the lawyers, the people in the tech spaces. What about the artisans? The people on the streets. What plans do you people have for them? Because I'm sure that you must have seen on Twitter that people are complaining of getting robbed in traffic early in the morning. Just so much unrest, and that's because there's so many people unemployed. I think that's one of the reasons. So what are you people doing? What is the public sector doing to reach out to these artisans?
So one of the things, our training in partnership with the UNDP, the USADF, and the GIs, which are all development agencies, are really focused at blue-collar jobs. So we are in construction sector, in hospitality sector. We are doing a lot of training for masons, garment making, plumbing, electricians, makeup. We do a lot of training across about almost 7 sectors now. Healthcare, where we're looking at general duty assistants. We do a lot of training in that bucket as well. And a lot has happened in that space with the work we do. We've increased the numbers every year, recognizing that these are not even student loans. These are fully grants where we're using it to train people and providing the funding for them for their first 3 months internship. After 3 months, you have to be able to prove yourself, because we've tried to give you that experience. But of course, not only that you get the internship, but we also have partner platforms, marketplace platforms, so that you can register yourself. And we go through that rigor of training you to be able to use it. More recently, we even signed with UNICEF, and they have a platform, YOMA, that also provides access to the global market for you. Whether you're in services, whether you're an expert, whether you're just like you said, the blue-collar jobs, any kind of services you provide, we want to provide access to market for you, apart from providing you the training. And this is a commitment that we have at the Lagos State Employment Trust.
So how have you reached out to these people? Because sometimes they don't watch TV, they don't have access to certain information. They might not even be watching us right now. So how do you reach out to them on the streets?
The first thing we do is we're on radio every week. So we're on Wazobia, on Nigeria Info, we're on Traffic Radio, we're on Echo FM. And we are right now, one of our programs, from the beginning of this year, has been to the markets on the streets. So we're right now going from market to market, from venue to venue, where they gather also the unions and their associations. So the Barbers Union, there's something called Lagos State Association of Artisans and Tradesmen. So we have all the chairmen on our call log or stakeholder that we actually go to the association meetings, because not only are we saying this access to market or this training, upskilling, whatever you need as a service person, but we also have loans for them. So we also provide loans across different categories to all these service providers and to all businesses. As long as the business is in Lagos, we provide access to finance, capacity development, mentoring, we do all of this to help promote and make sure those businesses grow. Okay. Let me explain that. We recognize that we don't want them to be one-man businesses. We're deliberate that, look, as many as we can incubate and accelerate to be bigger and to see themselves beyond a Baba Mulika or, to grow the size of that business, to see themselves bigger than that is what we're trying to do.
So they can also employ others.
Yes.
Right. Totally understand that. Lojide, let's speak about the brain drain, because all our talents are leaving the country. What can we do to fix that positively? Quick answer, please.
We just need to make the environment better for them. Why are they leaving? That's the first question. Incidentally, where they're leaving to, we take the doctors, for example. I was in healthcare for 5 years, and I had the opportunity of having an engagement with doctors. We recruited doctors from the UK and America for a particular project. And that gave me the opportunity to speak with doctors who have spent 20 years, 15 years on the job. They want to come back to Nigeria. That is what would embarrass you. After 15 years with NHS in the UK, you're tired, you've had it up to here. Okay. But the only problem is, where are they coming here to? The equipment are not there, the facilities are not good, the payments are not guaranteed.
Yeah, so basically we need to fix our
that
country.
environment and you can have that.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming, Teju. Thank you for coming on Lodge. It's been a pleasure. Rubbin Mind continues after this break. Stay with us. Back. This is Rubbin Mind. So before we went on the break, we're talking about employment and, of course, my highly esteemed guests were talking about employment and unemployability and how workers can actually do better and how we're celebrating workers all over Nigeria. Okay, it's now time for you to talk about entertainment. One industry that keeps making us proud every time is the entertainment industry. Recently, Burna Boy sold out a 20,000 capacity venue, the Madison Square Garden, New York. Entertainers are flying our flags high, and we're extremely proud of them. Today, we have an entertainer extraordinaire. She has done everything from podcasting to vlogging to blogging, and recently she made a big move on Nollywood.
Yes, wow.
Temi Otedola.
Hello, what an introduction.
How you doing?
I'm very well, how are you doing?
It's good to see you. The last time I saw you, I think it was in London. You remember?
Yes.
Osapa, London, very close to Lekki. Yeah, it wasn't the real London.
Oh, going right into it. I remember that.
You remember,
Oxford
right?
Oxford Street, right?
Oxford Street after Adiola Odeko.
There you go, that Oxford Street.
Exactly. By the way, congratulations. I can see the engagement glow all over.
Engagement glow. I'm still not engaged. I feel like the engagement glow lasts until you start planning the wedding. That first day you start planning the wedding, I think that's when the glow goes. So I'm just enjoying it right now.
Okay. We're going to get into that. But first, every talent wants to, to be asked questions about what she does or he does. So we're going to keep the engagement aside. Let's get to the work. So how did you transition from podcasting to being a fashion influencer, and then you made a big debut? Straight lead, Nollywood. How did that happen?
Straight in. A lot of people also want to know that pipeline from, I guess, my start in the industry. I guess you could say fashion was my first love. And when I was 16, I was seeing the rise of fashion blogs around the world, and I was just obsessed with designers and fashion weeks. And it was a time where people had all these online blogs. They would write articles, wear clothes. We didn't have TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, or it wasn't being used a lot.
Yeah.
And every day I'll come home from school and just start writing about a new fashion designer, taking photos by myself, editing them, writing articles. And then maybe 2 or 3 years in, I was like, wow, brands now want to pay me to platform their brands. I was like, wow, this is actually a business. So I did that for a few years. I then went into TV presenting, podcasting, YouTube, everything, anything I could get my hands on, right? And if you had told me I would ever be an actor, I would have said you're lying. I would have said, no way, there's
so how did that happen?
Way. I was always a huge fan of film. I was a very, very big film nerd. I think fashion, film, music, they all kind of mesh into one thing if you're a creative person. So it really just came to an amazing opportunity, which was Citation. And Citation could have been a single movie I did, and that could have been it, because it was a movie I was not going to pass down. From the director, Kunle Afolayan, to the story, to what the story was about. Such an important topic, such as sexual violence in Nigeria, right? So I thought, I can't pass this opportunity down. I need to audition for him. He told me he was making a movie where the main character was a girl, her early 20s. I was like, please let me audition, right? I was just a fan of his work. I auditioned for many months because, I was a first-time actor, and he is someone who is actually very good at nurturing talent. He has a lot of people who are not conventionally actors in his movies.
Yeah.
So it just turned out to having that experience, to falling in love with acting, and now wanting to do it.
Amazing, because Kunle Afolayan was on the show, and he categorically said that you are a director's fave.
That's so sweet.
You were so keen on learning, and you were so keen on... But personally, when I watched Citation, I didn't see you as a first-time actor. You played the role so well, and I'm not trying to gas you up. Yeah, of course, there's definitely room for improvement.
Always, yes.
However, you did such a good job. But how did you receive the reviews?
I think with all things in life, you have to take reviews for you have to have perspective on reviews, right? You should always take constructive criticism and try and be better. But you're going to have a million people saying you were good. You're going to have a million people saying you were bad.
Okay.
So you have to take each side with a pinch of salt, really. But I always like hearing criticism and feedback about my performance. So for the next time, I can try and improve.
That's great. So do you feel that some of these feedbacks you get are not exactly, I'm trying to put it in the best way possible. Now, in the industry, we have a couple of great talents that come from a wealthy background like yourself.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
You see Davido go on Twitter and say, "Oh, my only crime was being a rich man's son." You know,
The voice, I love it.
so he feels that his art is not being appreciated enough just because of his background, because there's a typical trajectory of the grass to grace story. You know, you come from a poor background and then you become a big star. You start with some waka pass role, then you get some like minor roles before you play lead. So is that having an effect on you too? Do you think people do not actually appreciate you enough just because your father is rich?
No, of course, that's always going to be the case. As you said, people love a rags to riches story, right? And there's so much to commend in that, when someone is able, without any help, to come up from nothing. But I think to a certain point, if you've come from a privileged background, that privilege can only take you so far. And hard work, determination, and being a good person will take you the rest of that 40 or 50%, however it may. Because as you know, there are a lot of people who come from very privileged backgrounds that, end up not maybe being in fields or, to put it bluntly, not working hard. So I think at some point, people only work with you when your background backs up your talent and your hard work backs up your talent. So that's why I also make sure that every set I'm on, I work as hard or even more hard than any other person on that set. I leave before everyone arrives. No, I arrive before anyone else arrives. I leave after everyone leaves. And sometimes you have to go that extra mile because people are ready to discount everything you're doing immediately. Like, oh, that's just that person's daughter, that's just that person's son. So sometimes you actually have to do a little bit more, especially when it comes to being paid for the work you're doing as well, because they think, oh, you don't need the money, right? But I'm running it like a business like anybody else, so that's really important. And to make a name for yourself. Everybody at the end of the day wants to make a name for themselves.
I like that. I like that because it's such a huge shoe to fill. And I know you're not trying to fill your father's shoe, but that could be such, when you walk into the room, first of all, I think about your father before I think of you. So how has it been trying to sort of grow out of that box? Because in itself, it is a box.
Definitely. And I will say that I will spend my whole life, with people only associating me with my father, and that's just the way it is. There's not really much I can do. So all I can do is focus on my own work, how I can change the narrative, and I've also realized that the most important thing is how I feel about the work I'm doing. So I really block out all that white noise, all that background noise, and the main thing is, am I proud with the work I'm doing, and is it resonating with at least a few people who actually appreciate the work I'm putting in.
Great. Now, let's talk about the engagement.
It's time.
Are you ready to give us some tea?
Yes,
We're expecting some tea.
You want an exclusive on this?
Please. I was watching your vlog and you said that you really love your space and that even if you get married, people would only know you've gotten married after 2 years. So my question is, are you married already?
I can tell you, this is a worldwide exclusive. I am not yet married. I mean, very much engaged.
Because we saw the picture, Efo himself, Easy, and then he just tweeted, Easy does it.
Easy does it, that was it.
Can you tell me the relationship between, how's the relationship between your father and Mr. Easy?
Mr. Easy, I'm so blessed because they have such a natural relationship, that two people that can live in a room and they can be talking for hours. So I'm really, really lucky. I think they're very like-minded. A lot of the things that I saw in my fiancé are things that I look up to in my dad, and my dad is one of my role models, so to have that in a partner as well is so lucky. And yeah, it's just great, nobody wins when the family feuds, so thank God.
That's great. Also, you said you really love long distance relationships because it affords you your space. He's busy, you're busy, but now that you're about to get married, you might have to see him every other day. movie? I don't know. What plans do you guys have? Have you guys talked about it? Because you love your spaces. How would you do that?
I mean, we've definitely talked about it. Things will change when we get married, of course. We need to be spending a lot more time, in the same place. But for example, now he's finishing his album in Los Angeles. I'm here promoting my new film. But then we know that, okay, in the next few weeks, we'll plan to be together. So it's really nice to, be able to do the work, do what we need to do, and then come back together and then actually appreciate the time together. But definitely, once we settle down, get married, things will change a little bit.
Okay, so I need another exclusive, because I've been wondering, how did Easy do it? And when I said how did Easy do it, I saw Easy just move up from being a musician to becoming this huge business mogul. I don't think a lot of people actually know how much he's doing, because he doesn't make a lot of noise. But you've been with him through that process, from him just being a musician with no structure to actually having a good business with structure. Can you give us an insight as to how that happened?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. A lot of people don't quite know all the work he does, and that's, something that I really look up to with him, is that he doesn't feel the need to shout it. He just knows that he's doing well. He's making huge strides in what he's doing. His label Empower is doing incredible. They have incredible talents from Joe Boy to Fave, and across Africa as well. It's not just Nigeria or Ghana. I think they're operating in many countries, tens of countries across Africa. And for him, he really looked at the infrastructure of the music business, and how, a lot of African musicians, they don't own their own music, right? And you'll be shocked at the people who own their music. They're not always Africans, let's just say. And also sort of the deals they're getting into. So he, coming from the artist standpoint, knew the type of deal or distribution he would have liked as an artist when he was starting up. So really, it's just amazing to see how much he cares about this, how much he wants to change the African music business structure. And also, I guess it's just so interesting to see that transition, having been with him for that amount of time. And just knowing that he really cares about the talents that he's looking after. It's coming from a place of, we're not just trying to, rinse you of your money or take advantage. Like, they're really trying to nurture these talents and make them as big as possible.
Well done. You sound like his personal PRO spokesperson.
I am.
His number one fan.
I'm number one fan.
So we're going to talk about the industry, Nollywood as a whole. Congratulations, you now have 2 films in your bag.
Yes.
Man for the Job just came out on Friday.
It did.
Well done. I haven't seen it yet. I would have complimented you or not.
See it tonight.
So tell us about it.
So The Man for the Job is a crime thriller, but set in the tech world. So this is what I loved about the script, is that I don't think we've had any Nollywood movie that's looked at the new fintech space and had that as its sort of universe. And my character Zina is a programmer, coder, artificial intelligence girl.
Look it.
Thank you. I mean, I feel like I feel like it wasn't too hard to fit into that role, but I did have to do a lot of homework on coding and programming, and learning about Python and modules and exponential functions and all those things. And the director in me loves tech. Like, he loves app development, and he's so interested in that world. So it was amazing to bring my character, but also that fintech world space in Nigeria to life. And I mean, this movie has a lot of twists and turns, so I can't even tell you the plot that much.
No, it's
because
fine.
even us as the actors, we're still like, what? Like, when I was reading the script, I was like, turning the page, it was like 2 in the morning. I was like, what is going on? It just kept on moving and moving and moving, and you have so many different characters. I mean, my character starts off very innocent, and you think she's just an optimistic young tech programmer, and by the end of it, you're like, how innocent is she really?
All right, so you're in the industry now. What stereotypes do you think that we need to change, especially when it comes to women? Because I know you're a huge feminist.
Yes.
In the Nollywood industry, there are certain stereotypes about women in the industry. So what are some of the stereotypes you think we need to change?
That's a great question. I think luckily with Nollywood, we do have a lot of women stars, who have been in the game for so long. So maybe unlike music, for example, we do have a lot of dominant women in the game. Even if you look at Moabudu, she is really at the top of Nollywood, and she's a woman, so that's amazing to see. But I would say, in terms of maybe the stories that are being told, it's so important to me that whatever movie I'm doing, it's not just about this is a woman who's looking to fall in love with a man, or it can be about that, but we want something more profound underneath that, and telling the lives of complex women, because every woman is just as complex as every man, right? So that's just really what I want to champion, is telling interesting stories about women, having more biopics maybe about our own historical women in Nigeria, and there's so many stories to tell. So it's just keeping the projects available to women actors interesting, and letting them push their boundaries and push their talent as actors as well.
Okay, so I'm going to paraphrase this in a very informal way. Do you intend to Mr. Easy the Nollywood? I mean, do you intend to start producing, start creating your own business, aside from being an actress? Yes,
so without saying too much, that's something that I'm really, really looking forward to going into. I think it's very important to pay your dues. When you're an actor, you want to be on set and just concentrate on getting the job done for the producer, for the director. And I'm just 2 movies in, but down the road, I'm definitely going to be going into the back end of it, the off-camera side of it, because I just love all things film. So whether that's directing or producing in the future, we'll see.
Not to put you under any pressure, when are we expecting the Oscar?
I'm going to put it out there, okay?
Yes, just push it out in the universe. Exactly.
Okay, well, this is 2022. 2025.
That's 3 years from now.
Yes. I think that's a good time frame. How about 29? I think that's good.
That's fine.
That's nice.
Maybe in the 3. I was expecting maybe like a time of 3 months, 6 months. But 3 years is fine.
3 years is good. Because we're gonna play this back. I'll come back on the show. I'll be holding my Oscar right here.
Exactly. So I'm a huge fan of the How Far podcast.
Thank you.
Listen, even though you people used to delay the season, but now that you're into Nollywood, you're acting, you're still trying to do, not trying, you're still doing your fashion influencing. Yes. How do you intend to juggle everything together?
Everything. I do believe on not having a million jars open, so to speak. I really like concentrating on one thing at a time. It can be hard to juggle everything, but for me, my main priorities are acting, social media influencing, and then the podcast as well.
All right.
So yeah, I think it's just about taking each day as it comes. So today is a movie day. That's all I have to think about.
All right, final question, and I need a very honest answer. Just drop it on the show. When is the date?
The wedding.
Are you going to do a public wedding? Are you going to do a private wedding?
No, I've already said many times, so we're going to be selling tickets for the wedding.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's everyone and anyone can come. Okay. But it's going to be a ticket affair. Or we're going to be selling tables, in fact.
Okay.
And the wedding date is, I can't tell you that. I cannot tell you that.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Temi, and I wish you all the best. And don't worry, who knows, I might be hosting the Oscars in 3 years' time.
I know, and you'll be giving me my Oscar.
Exactly, and the award for the best actress in whatever category goes to Temi Otedola.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, give your acceptance speech in 1 minute so that we can go on a break.
A break, okay.
Yes, give your acceptance speech.
Well, I would like to, first of all, I want to thank my wonderful family. I want to thank God. I want to thank all the people that made it possible for me to be here, because I'm nothing without you.
Hold this pen. This is your Oscar. Hold it. Oh yeah.
There it is.
Yes.
Where am I holding here? Okay, here is where I look. And I want to thank every director, actor, producer who gave me this opportunity. And I'm going to copy that word for word in 3 years when I'm on that Oscar stage. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. All the best, and I wish you a happy married life. And of course, I wish you all the best in your career.
Thank you.
You do amazing. You're already doing amazing. It's Rubbin Minds, and the show continues after the break. Stay with us. We're still celebrating Workers' Day on Rubbin Minds. Everybody's talking about 2023 because the next president is really important. The kind of presidents that we get in 2023 will determine our future, from infrastructure to the economy, even down to making sure that we reduce the number of unemployed people, making sure that Nigeria is no longer the poverty capital of the world. Everything just really rests on the shoulders of who becomes the president in 2023, and of course other elected officials, because only the president cannot do the job alone. So today we'll be discussing what kind of presidents Nigerians want. Joining me from our Abuja studios is Miriam Laushi, a good governance advocate. Hello, Miriam.
Hi.
Welcome to the show. Okay, so I'm just going to go straight. It's very self-explanatory. What kind of president do you think Nigerians deserve come 2023?
Well, I think the most important thing for the kind of president that we want in 2023 is a visionary leader. As we all know, Nigerians are living in a period when there are so many things that are uncertain right now, and you really need somebody who is very ready to take Nigeria to the future and prepare Nigeria to face any future challenges and deal with all the problems that are currently existing. So as opposed to someone who is going to be firefighting, dealing with security, that person instead is supposed to pretty much think of a future where there is no insecurity and what that looks like as we go forward, and being preventive. So for me, I think I want to speak for most Nigerians to say we want that kind of person who will be prepared for anything that comes and be preventive in his or her approach when it comes to governing this country. Apart from that, I think there are certain things that we all hope for. We hope for someone with integrity, but of course, like, that matters, and it's not just with the president that matters. We have the legislative arm of government, and we also have the judiciary, and it's really important that with all of those arms of government, we have people who have integrity down to the local level. So pretty much those are the things that we're looking for: someone who's ready to make our economy better and to just make the country work for everyone.
Okay, Miriam, what would you say that president should prioritize? Because we have so many issues: insecurity, poverty. What is that one thing that, you know what, as a president, this is the one thing that he or she should tackle first?
Well, there is nothing you can have in a country that's more important than security. Even if there are jobs, if you cannot get to your job safely, then it's not worth it. So the most important thing for anyone who's looking to be the president of Nigeria is to make sure that every one of us and our properties are safe and secure. No more of killings, no more of attacks on trains and on roads and all of that. If that is tackled, I think, honestly, Nigeria will be so much better for it when we stop losing lives in such violent ways.
Okay, so now let's talk specifics. There are a couple of parties, a number of political parties in Nigeria, and of course, constitutionally, everybody has a right to contest, but we know that over the years we've run sort of a two-party system, you know, the APC and the PDP. Recently on Twitter, one of the big conversation people have been having is the fact that the nomination forms for these parties are pretty much expensive, and it sort of raises questions as to how do you spend so much money getting into power, and how are we sure that you're not going to embezzle funds after spending so much money? So I don't know, what do you think we can do to sort of align things so it's clearer to the common man?
So the prices are definitely really high for I think, like, democratically speaking, I don't know if it's a realistic price for an average Nigerian who may have leadership qualities to be able to make that kind of payment. In other democracies that we look up to, like in the US, we can see how they manage campaign funding. So you do have campaign funding, but it's capped based on like who is donating and all of that. And it's pretty important also to figure out if someone is bringing out 100 million naira in this economy, then where is the money coming from? So those are all questions that should be asked, and it should be regulated, perhaps through a body like INEC, making sure that whenever funds are coming through, they know the source, and if someone is donating, there is a cap on it, and how campaign funds are generated and spent. All of that should be regulated. And also, it really comes down to our legislative arm of government again, as well as whoever will be president, to pretty much agree to sign such a rule. If the legislative arm of government can create a law around that to perhaps make sure that there is a certain amount that a political party cannot pass when it comes to selling nomination forms or interest forms, that is something that they should be focused on to ensure that the process is even more democratic and not now about who has 100 million naira or 50 million naira.
Okay. There's so many people that have declared, so many viable candidates have declared for the presidency. What are your thoughts on zoning in these individual parties? What are your thoughts on zoning?
So zoning is an interesting thing in Nigeria. The unfortunate truth is that there are a lot of Nigerian citizens who still vote based on where the person is from or what their religion is. And unfortunately, because that still steers how our political system works and we're not really issue-based yet, you tend to find that this is pretty much the only way you can make sure things go around, though there are other arguments against zoning. The more important thing really is getting a quality person, and I believe that in every zone in Nigeria you can get a quality person. When it comes to whatever the person's tribe or religion is, you can get a quality person who will lead. Parties need to focus more on getting a quality person as opposed to what zone the person is from. Ideally, we will get to a future where people don't really focus on those things, and in that case, zoning may no longer be necessary in a place like Nigeria, but when you have a lot of people focused on what the person's tribe is and so on and so forth, or even feelings of being neglected from the political space like we have in the Southeast. A lot of people from the Southeast definitely share notions about being excluded from leading the country and stuff like that. And so those issues need to be addressed. And maybe zoning is not the solution. Maybe it's finding a way to bring people together in a better way and to get everyone's input when it comes to the way we govern this country. And again, you know, democracy is the way in that sense.
Right.
And just having also a leader, just like you asked about the kind of president we want going forward in 2023, it will be really good to see a leader who is able to bring everyone's needs and concerns at the forefront of the conversation when it comes to governance. And then perhaps when all of those things are done, maybe zoning may not be so much of a thing in Nigeria.
All right, thank you so very much for joining us, and your thoughts are quite valid, and thank you for sharing them with us, Miriam.
Thanks so much for having me.
Anytime. All right, it's been an amazing show on Rubbin Minds. Don't forget to tune in next week, same time, same station. My name is Hero Daniels, and a happy Workers' Day once again. Next time.
Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show